Let's see who we have back here, guys. We have that guy you know coming to the live stream. All right, can you hear me okay? Everything sound good?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. Can you hear me?
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. I can hear you all right. All right, so let me see. So this is your comment. Let's see what you had to say. That guy you know, he says you need your own plan. Don't fish for the boater's fish. Hey, I mean, I agree with that, because I mean, when you're on the back of the boat, how can you fish for that boater's fish? It'll be a bad day on the lake if you do that to the wrong boater. So what do you think about this? What is your definition of backboating, or what did you call it? Back seating?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's freezing up a little bit, but yeah, I think it may be the location you're in, but I think your audio's coming through pretty good. But we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, the more I thought about it, which I hadn't really thought about it before, but I guess once you decide to be a co-angler,
Mm-hmm.
and I've changed my mind since we just started, but once you
Gotcha.
decide to be a co-angler, I don't think you can be backboated now that I think about it,
Mm-hmm.
because you've chosen the back of the boat, and if the fish are on riprap and that's what you're paralleling, I mean, it's going to be really hard to give you an opportunity. I mean, there's always an opportunity. I just say downsize and shaky head and all of those things to help you in the back of the boat. But I'm
Right.
really thinking that you can't be backboated if you choose to be in the back of the boat.
Uh-oh. Let me hit the horn for that one, guys. We have somebody else that looks like he may have converted. So he said, so guys, if you are in the comment section, I want somebody to come up. Tell us what backboating is and really, that is the main thing we need to know, is what is the definition. So let me go back to Bass Fever's definition. Not have many chances to cast his bait where he prefers. Do you see that as being backboating, or backboated, or backseated?
Well, the more I read the comments, the more I thought about it. I just don't think that is being backboated now that I think about it. When you first sent out the preview of the video like a day or two ago,
Right.
I was pretty fired up about it, thinking, yeah,
Gotcha.
I've been backboated before, but I chose to be a co-angler in that tournament, right? So if I chose to be a
Right.
co-angler, then I've got to have a different mindset, and I have to realize that I'm there to learn to boater, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah. So I'm kind of agreeing with you, and that's why I'm open minded. I'm open to understanding when someone says that, because like this comment says, places that he prefers. The other thing I hear people saying is, I don't have any water to cast to, and I have to visualize what that actually means. How could a boat possibly be positioned to where you have no water to cast to? You follow what I mean?
oh yeah,
So
absolutely. There's always
yeah.
water to cast to. It's not
Right.
preferred water, but
Right, but you're not even going to be in your preferred places. I mean, one time when I was fishing as a co-angler, we were running down the lake, and I didn't realize it, but the boater's motor cut out on him. I thought he was stopping there to fish. I looked over his graph, and we were about in 80 feet of water. I immediately hop up and grab my poles and start getting ready to fish, and he's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "You stopped, so it's time for me to catch fish." And so he was like, "You're not going to catch it." I was like, "Listen, wherever the boat stops, that's where I fish at."
that's where you.
So yeah, so that's kind of the way that I view it. And
Yeah.
so I think by doing this, we may, kind of change people's minds about.
Yes,
I
sir.
think the main thing is that mindset. What is your mindset whenever you're going out there?
Right.
And I think that will change your day.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
just
you're there to learn, right? I mean, you chose the back of the boat so that you can become a boater at some point, typically, right? Uh,
right,
so you got to have the more I'm here to learn from them attitude to me. It's going to be, there are some times, as I said, I know I've been in the boat when we paralleled the riprap, but you take a shaky head and a little crankbait and throw behind the boat and get what you get. So,
yeah, or that right
yeah,
there.
yeah,
That right
yeah.
there, because you can keep that up in the water column without getting hung up, or even a spinnerbait, something like a spinnerbait that'll work too. I mean, you won't get hung up, because with the shaky head, the momentum of that boat moving forward, sometimes it's going to dig down, and before you can hop it up, you'll get stuck. But the main thing with that, if you're fishing off the back of the boat and casting toward the back of the boat, you want to kind of hop that bait. You don't want to drag it because you'll definitely get stuck. And I've had a co-angler that's actually what he was doing. I was fishing riprap. I wasn't moving, and he was continually throwing a Carolina rig, and he was getting stuck on every cast. And I was like, hey, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you're getting stuck every cast, so you might want to change that up.
Well, I think I changed. I think about the riprap. If somebody's hitting right there where the water meets the rocks,
right,
and you start fishing where the riprap ends, right? You fish out a little deeper where the riprap ends.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, let me scroll down real quick and see who else we have. So we have another definition here. We got Texas Noob 2010. He says, up shallow and the boat is pointed inland and I'm out deeper. All right, so being an offshore fisherman, I prefer to cast deeper. I don't like casting towards the bank. So for me, I would not consider that backboating because that is where I would prefer to cast. And as a co-angler, that is what I did the majority of the time. Whenever I was on the boat, I would take a drop shot and I would cast that drop shot out toward the deeper water. Even when the boater was fishing docks, I would cast towards where the break in the where it drops off, kind of like the edge, the ledges and things like that. So even from when the water drops maybe from 5 feet to 10 feet or 10 feet to 20 feet, whatever that drop is, I would still cast out that way. So when I'm looking at this and you're casting out deeper, I would still kind of consider this, for me, in my opinion, that you're not able to cast where you prefer out in that deeper water. You rather cast shallow, but what's to say those fish aren't out there? Because I've caught fish out there and I fish offshore, so I prefer to fish that deeper water. And I kind of know what you mean by that. You do want to cast towards that shallower water, but then again, your mindset, whenever that boat stops and you see what your opportunities are, take advantage of what you have and make the most out of that, is still the way that I would look at that. So what are your thoughts on that one? Whenever the boat is pointed inland and they're casting out toward the deeper water.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's still plenty of opportunity there. So I agree with you.
Right. I mean, because right now you may be looking at that boater, and let's say that boater doesn't have, just take away electronics, for example. And well, I guess let's leave electronics in for a second. So let's say that boater is casting at something specific. That does not mean that's the only place that fish are, because if that boater didn't know that he was there, he would be fan casting also. So as a co-angler, you go into this knowing that you're not going to be using live scope. You're not going to be using a 360, and you may not even be using a sonar. The best you're going to have sometimes is going to be mapping, because there are boaters that their electronics just don't work anyways. They don't use those. So you just have to kind of adapt to all of those different situations that you may come into.
Yeah, I never heard someone turn off the console graph, but that was pretty tough. So
yeah, so
at least I know how deep it is, right?
So. right. And see, I don't think I've ever had anybody do that to me. But even if that would happen, immediately what I would think, I would take my drop shot, because I put a 30-foot leader on my drop shot, braid to fluorocarbon. I would take my drop shot and drop it straight down to see how far, what depth I'm in. So I would adapt to whatever it is. I mean, yeah, it's not always an ideal situation, but it's just that mindset. You just have to stay ready for what's going to happen, because most of the time, I would say, as a co-angler, it's not going to be an ideal situation. It's not going to be what you want it to be. And then sometimes it's not what the boater wants it to be. They may start off thinking that, hey, I'm going to go fish grass, and that is not working at all. So they take off and go out offshore, just unplanned. So you just have to be ready. All right, let's see. And guys, I dropped the link. Let me drop the link in here again, see if anybody else wants to pop up. And in a second, guys, I'm going to show a video clip that I pulled offline from an angler that was fishing, and he's saying he's being backboated. So I want some opinions on this to see what you guys think. But let me read through a few more of these real quick, and just let me know if you want to drop back down, or if you're fine with staying up, that guy, and I'll just keep reading through a few of these.
Yeah,
All right, so
no, go ahead until someone else volunteers. So.
okay, gotcha. All right, so we have Brock Schuld. I think that's how you pronounce that. Yeah, man. When the guy in the front kind of puts the back of the boat in a non-opportune situation for the back guy, I think it's kind of unwritten rule that you don't go past the console if you're a co. All right, so. All right, so well, you're already laughing at this one. So does something stick out in that one to you?
I remember years ago, being in a tournament, and it was a higher level tournament too, as a co-angler, and the boater was pretty frustrated and
kind of froze up on us again. Let's see if he comes back in.
Console, maybe about even with the console, and so I got a finger pointed in my face in the boat.
Okay, say that because you froze up for a second at the beginning of. So
sorry,
I
was out here working on the boat, but the I was in a higher level tournament where the boater was extremely frustrated with their performance so far, and I made a cast about even with the console, and that was close enough for him.
Right.
So he put his finger in my face, and but by the end of the day, he had borrowed some of my brush hogs, and it was all good by the end of the day.
Oh man, yeah, the finger in the face thing, that is definitely not good. And especially depending on how far away you are from the shore. So
it was bad, but he was throwing a buzzbait, and I caught a couple about 2.5 pounds on a brush hog, and he hadn't caught one, and so he grabbed a couple real quick, and all was good after that. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a tough one right there. All right, so Brock Schul, let me tell you what stands out in this comment for me. So I am looking at, and I see in a non-opportune situation for the back guy. So if you are in a non-opportune situation and that is your option, that's what you have, but you're catching fish, are you still going to say you're backboated? What would you think that guy, would he still say he's backboated if he's catching, he's in a non-opportune situation, but he's catching fish? Let's say he's catching fish every fourth cast, but he's in a non-opportune, the boat is pointing in a direction that he does not want it to be in, but he's catching fish.
Yeah, you don't consider it backboating unless you're not catching stuff. It's all good, right?
Right. So that's what so Brock Schul, let me know that. So if you're catching fish and the boat is pointing in a non-opportune situation, are you going to say this is a non-opportune situation, the way that the boat is pointing? So I'm being backboated and I would prefer to have the boat a different way. Or would you be okay with it staying in a non-opportune situation? So that is what stood out for me in that one. And again, guys, the reason why I'm saying these things is I just want to open up a different way to view these things for guys. And maybe it's going to help someone out the next time they're on the water and they're like, hey, this is a no-win situation for me. But they will remember some of the comments that were made here, and it will just change that mindset to where now you're like, hey, maybe I need to change up my bait or change up something, because this is the cards I was given. This is what I have to work with. So do I complain? Do I just sit here and lose my money? Or do I go ahead and make the best of the situation? All right, so let's see who else we have here. Let's go through a few more of these. And then I have someone that has come up to the back. We have another brave soul that is
I'm gonna get back to work spooling these rods up.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you stopping by. I always appreciate you supporting the channel, and I will see you on the next one.
See you. Thanks.
All right. Sounds good. All right, guys. Let's see. Let me read through 2 or 3 more of these, and then I will bring up our next contestant on who's being backboated. All right. So let's see. We were at Brock.